what can I expect from your appointments? Why is this a must-ask question for appointment setting partners?
So I think that for any program to be successful, there has to be forms of expectations. And it's important to understand whether the partner that you're choosing both has given some thought around what the appropriate expectations are and what are the expectations and metrics that matter. And so there's a few different things here. One is there are some companies, and I've seen it on their websites, where they'll basically say that they're going to get X number of appointments with this type of package. And I'm always a little confused by that because, at least from the experience I've seen, that there are some programs where in a month you might get 20 appointments, but there might be some programs where you get 8 appointments, and that is fantastic. And it really depends very much on the prospect and the level of prospect and the type of prospect that you are calling into. And it depends very much on the value prop and how it resonates with that prospect. And so no two programs are the same. And I think it's important to have a partner that really evaluates that and understands and has a methodology to give you some estimates as to what you can expect. Also is real with you that sometimes it's hard, especially with a value prop that might be new, or you're an innovative new company. It's hard to gauge how that is going to resonate. And that's part of the value of a program like this. So I think it's important for individuals who are evaluating an appointment setting partner to see if they have a methodology on creating expectations, and then for you to understand what those expectations are, and maybe the range of expectations from a high and a low. The other thing I think is important is that obviously with an appointment setting partner, it is an important metric to have a sense of how many appointments are being generated. But 2 aspects for that. No 2 appointments are created equal, right? So the qualifications matter, and the stringent level of qualifications matter, and that's going to change potentially how many appointments you have. Also, if somebody does guarantee you appointments, I would really understand their qualification methodology, because any partner can generate thousands of appointments that aren't qualified, right? Or are no-shows. But it's really important to understand their methodology and really their proclivity and openness to really understanding the qualifications you think are important, not they think are important. So I think those are important. And then the last thing is, it's hard to forecast this, but at the end of the day, what's really important from all this is pipeline creation and closed deals. And I think it's important for a partner to at least touch on that and have a sense from you what kind of pipeline justifies a program like this. What type of number of closed deals or revenue from your closed deals justifies a program like this, because and that they have some form of methodology where they're trying to get that information back to you, because you could generate a whole bunch of appointments with prospects that don't close, or you could generate a few appointments with prospects that close really big deals. And you want your partner to think that way, because that, at the end of the day, is what's going to make you and your organization money and be able for you to hit your yearly sales goals.
Yeah, I think you hit on something super critical here, and then we'll get into the tip about how we can verify this or dig a little bit deeper. But would you rather sit at your computer for 100 appointments when half the people don't show up and they're not qualified, or would you rather take 1 appointment with a real opportunity? And obviously you don't want to spend your week taking appointments that aren't going to go anywhere. That is going to slow your sales team down, not speed you up.
100%.
So we have a way, you have a tip, David, for how we can verify this and dig a little bit deeper. And that is to ask how they reschedule missed appointments. When we were talking about this, when we were preparing for the event, you mentioned something about stewardship and partnership here. So do you want to elaborate on this? Why is asking about rescheduling appointments a good way to dig deeper on their appointment quality?
Yeah, so I think this is an interesting question, because I think it will also catch them maybe off guard a little bit, but it will be revealing, I think, because there's a few things that relate to what I just talked about where you want a partner who really cares about qualified appointments and qualified appointments that stick. And if they don't, listen, not every appointment's going to stick, even if it's well qualified. But if it doesn't stick, that they're going to get it back on the board for you and make it happen. And so you want a partner who has that type of mindset where they don't just book an appointment and then their responsibility ends. Their responsibility ends when you have a qualified appointment and you're doing a great demo of that appointment. And so you want to just gauge their mindset as to where they feel that their responsibility ends. The other thing is, if they have no methodology for checking on whether an appointment showed or not, that also shows their mindset, right? We have a robust model around that, which I know, Alex, you'll ask me about, so I won't say it here. But I think it's really important for the organization to want to know whether an appointment has had not. And if they don't have a process around that, then you're basically creating a process or telling them, or it reveals again the level that they care about that appointment. So I think it's revealing again in their mindset, but also from a practical level, if your salesperson doesn't have an appointment that sits, you don't want them taking up all their time rescheduling it. It is important for your partner to be able to do that and take it off their plate.
Yeah, it is so revealing how they answer this question, because if they don't have a process for rescheduling, they literally are not thinking beyond the initial engagement, right? They're thinking, schedule it, we're done, we're moving on. I also think about the people that maybe get busy, right? Or maybe there was a calendaring issue and so they weren't able to attend the appointment, but they still agreed to take the initial appointment. And I'm talking about the prospect here now. Your appointment setting partner, they called this person, said, hey, will you meet with us? It didn't happen. And then from the prospect standpoint, if no one ever follows up with you again, doesn't create a great brand impression, right? It's like, this person contacted me and then forgot about me. And if they were really qualified, they've now totally slipped through the cracks. So if you had a qualified appointment, you can't just let the fish off the hook. You got to go back and grab it.
Yeah, it's a good point. We want to minimize the number of times we have to reschedule something. But to your point, because somebody missed an appointment doesn't mean that they weren't qualified and they're not a good prospect. And we've had a number of huge deals close from an appointment that had to get rescheduled. So you don't want to lose those opportunities, and you want to have a methodology because there's gold in there.
Especially busy executives, right? Have to reschedule more than anybody. It's the, people that are maybe lower in the org have more time to take an appointment right away. But if it's a busy executive, that might just be part of the game.
Yeah.
So I'll flip this back on you. What can people expect from SalesRoads appointments? And should one of those be missed, how do we go about rescheduling those?
Yeah. So with the expectation, what we do when we talk to a potential client is we really boil down the types of prospects they're looking to call into, both from a department standpoint, from a level standpoint, and an organizational structure standpoint. And we have metrics from all of our different programs that gives us a sense of how many dials and touches it's going to take to actually get that level of decision maker on the phone. So we've got that as part of our calculator. And then we talk to them a lot about their value prop. We try to get a sense for how differentiated it is, how it's been resonating in the marketplace, so that we can get a good sense as to what our conversion rate will be on each of those conversations to appointment. And then we put that into a calculator, and we can give them a range of potential expectations for the number of appointments that they would get during a 4-week period of time with us. So we will do that during the discovery phase. And then we ask questions as to, what is their lifetime value of a customer? What is their pipeline goals over the next quarter, 2 quarters this year? What are their close sales goals? And so then we can work backwards to get a sense as to with that number of appointments, are we going to be able to achieve their expectations? So we really will work with them. There is not a silver bullet for each prospect as to what they can expect that we can put on our website, like I said, but we work through that during the discovery process to really give them some good expectations so that they can make an educated decision as to whether this is a good investment for them. And then if they do engage with us, that we have really good goals for our team and our SDRs that we know we need to hit in order to make this successful.